Did you know that engine additives can boost fuel economy by up to 18% and help your engine last over 100,000 miles longer? In this video, we're revealing 12 engine additives that actually work and 5 that can kill your engine. Watch until the end to discover the additive that literally kills, not just your engine. Our first pick was built with NASA tech, but it's being used by worn-out Civics and trucks with 1 million miles. On number 12, we have Triboteex, a tiny 20-milliliter syringe that's stirring up some serious excitement among high-mileage drivers. What's in it? Microscopic smart flakes. Originally developed under a NASA fellowship, these two-sided particles stick to worn engine parts and rebuild them with a slick, diamond-like carbon coating. Yes, rebuild, not just protect. Imagine tiny Band-Aids bonding inside your engine. These flakes know exactly where to go. They grip onto hot, high-friction spots and grow a diamond-like coating, just like the high-end finishes used in racing engines. For older engines, that means smoother starts, quieter idle, and even fuel mileage gains of 2 to 6%. Some drivers even saw oil pressure increase by 2 to 4 psi after using it. It's especially popular in cars with over 130,000 miles, and it's been tested in everything from turbo Hondas to million-mile diesel trucks. But it's not a magic bullet. It takes about 500 miles to fully work, and newer engines won't see much benefit. Now that we've rebuilt worn parts from the inside, the next one handles something just as crucial. What's slipping out? On number 11, we have AT205 Receal, a bottle that's earned a quiet cult following in garages everywhere for one simple reason. It helps stop leaks without gunking up your engine. Unlike those thick, molasses-like sealants that just mask a problem, this clear liquid actually rejuvenates old rubber seals from the inside out. Think of it as a hydration shot for dried-out gaskets. It soaks into the rubber, restores its flexibility, and helps it swell just enough to reseal. And it does this without overexpanding or softening things too much, which is where other additives go wrong. That's why mechanics trust it for tricky leaks in everything from rear main seals to power steering systems. What's wild is how fast it can work. Some drivers say drip slow within an hour. It's not a fix for torn or damaged parts, but if your seals are just tired, AT205 might give them a second wind. For under $30, it can save you a $1,000 repair, especially on older rides with 150,000 miles or more. On number 10, we're looking at BG44K. One can of this beast treats a full tank and hits your injectors, intake valves, and combustion chamber all in one go. Think of it as a deep clean for engines that have been running on bargain gas for too long. What sets it apart? The secret's in the PEA, polyethylamine. It's a detergent strong enough to cling to hot carbon deposits and burn them off without hurting sensors or converters. While cheaper cleaners barely survive the fuel line, BG44K holds up past 450 degrees Fahrenheit and goes right where the grime hides. Mechanics report smoother idle within a day, and dyno tests show 6 to 8 more horsepower after just one tank. If you've noticed lag off the line, rough cold starts, or worse fuel mileage lately, this could be your one tank reset. It's not something you use every fill-up, but as an engine habit every 10 to 15,000 miles, it's a powerful way to restore lost performance without turning a wrench. Cleaning things up is great, but the next one's about keeping them smooth for the long haul. On number 9, we've got Liquoli Serat, a ceramic-infused oil additive that behaves more like a long-term insurance policy for your engine than a quick fix. It's built around hexagonal boron nitride, a white, ultra-slick solid that acts like graphite but holds its shape all the way up to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. What makes this stuff so clever is how it works on 2 levels. First, it smooths out metal surfaces chemically, kind of like a polish without abrasives. Then those microscopic ceramic flakes fill in the tiny valleys left behind, turning metal-on-metal friction into something closer to ceramic-on-ceramic slip. That's why users report quieter valve ticks, smoother idle, and, over time, less wear showing up in oil tests. It's especially popular with drivers of direct-injected V8s, where that infamous cold start tick can make a brand new truck sound like it's seen 200,000 miles. Add Serat after a fresh oil change, and the noise often drops within days, sometimes even hours. Still with us? Then you're clearly the kind of driver who cares what goes in their engine. Subscribe for more tips that save horsepower, money, or both. On number 8, we have Arcoil AR9100, a friction modifier that's become a go-to solution for diesel drivers dealing with cold start roughness and noisy injectors, especially in Ford's 6.0 and 7.3 Power-Stroke engines. What makes this one different isn't a flashy name or over-the-top promises. It's the microscopic boron nitride platelets inside. Think of them like Teflon slick playing cards that don't burn off under heat. Once added to your oil, AR9100 forms a paper-thin ceramic film that keeps surfaces slippery even when the oil drains down overnight. That matters on startup, where dry metal-on-metal wear does most of its damage. In cold climates, users report a smoother idle in 10 to 30 seconds and faster oil pressure by as much as 10 psi. It's also one of the few additives proven not to mess with catalytic converters, a big deal for emissions-compliant builds. And while some friction modifiers raise oil pressure, AR9100 plays well with hydraulic systems, differentials, and even wet clutches at proper doses. On number 7, we've got BGPR, Engine Performance Restoration. This one is for fixing one of the most annoying problems modern engines face: stuck oil control rings. And if your car's burning a quart every 1,000 miles, this could be the quiet fix you've been hunting for. What makes EPR work is a sharp mix of solvents, cyclohexanone and glycol ether, that seep behind hard carbon deposits like liquid WD-40. During a 15-minute idle, it softens the crust that gums up piston rings and drags compression down. Real-world numbers? One Silverado test mule gained over 7 psi across its cylinders, enough to tame misfires and slow down oil burn. Mechanics use it before oil changes. DIYers love it for high-mileage hybrids and GDI 4s. And on Project Farm's channel, it cut blow-by on a 200,000-mile Camry by more than half. It won't repair broken parts, and you'll want a fresh filter right after. But if your car's losing power, gulping oil, or just doesn't idle like it used to, this engine habit might bring it back without touching a wrench. On number 6, we have Liquoli's MOS2 Anti-Friction Treatment, a classic that still sparks debate at every parts counter and forum thread. What's inside that black bottle is actually solid molybdenum disulfide, not a detergent or synthetic trick, but microscopic graphite-like plates suspended in mineral oil. When your engine runs, these flakes stack like poker cards on metal surfaces and stay behind long after the oil drains away. It's most helpful when oil can't fully protect your engine, cold starts, idling in traffic, or pulling heavy loads at low RPM. That's where the dry film steps in, handling pressure up to 200,000 psi and smoothing out the clatter from flat tappet cams or tired rings. You won't feel a horsepower surge, but drivers report quieter idles, up to 3% better fuel mileage, and a little more peace of mind. Just keep it out of wet clutch motorcycles and engines under factory warranty. For older cars or work trucks doing tough miles, this is more of a long-haul engine habit than a flashy upgrade. You add it, forget it, and let the wear numbers tell the story. Coating metal is one thing, but the next one digs deep into the gunk that's suffocating your power. At number 5, we've got Opil Lube XPD, a diesel additive that quietly became legendary among heavy-duty truck owners for one reason: it works where most fuels fall short. Ever since ultra-low sulfur diesel stripped away natural lubricants, pumps and injectors have been running drier than they should. That's where XPD comes in. Its ester-based formula lays down a protective film inside high-pressure systems, especially useful for engines with Bosch CP4 pumps, which are infamous for failing when the fuel gets too dry. Even in blind lab tests, XPD slashed wear scars nearly in half, beating out big-name additives and even brushing up against biodiesel's gold standard. But this isn't just about protection. XPD sneaks in a cetane bump and a mild anti-gel too, helping diesel ignite faster on cold starts and smoothing out winter clatter. For many drivers, the result is quieter idles, 1 to 2 more miles per gallon, and less stress on injector life. It's not a miracle cure, but for 20 cents a gallon, it's the kind of engine habit that quietly saves you from a 5-figure fuel system rebuild. And that's the kind of of math every diesel owner should know. On number 4, we've got Restore Engine Restorer, and what it does is surprisingly close to metal surgery in a can. Instead of just thickening the oil or masking a knock, this stuff uses copper and lead microparticles that literally fill worn-out cylinder walls. They're soft enough to bond under oil pressure and small enough to survive your filter. The result? Tighter sealing rings and a noticeable bump in compression, often 3 to 7 psi in tired engines. That extra seal doesn't just help power. It can reduce oil burning, smooth out a rough idle, and even save a car from failing an emissions test. Real-world drivers have gone from burning a quart every 600 miles to every 1,200 with nothing more than a single can. It won't fix broken rings or deep scoring, and you'll need to redose each oil change. But for cars on the edge of retirement, this is one habit that buys time without tearing down the engine. Think of it as a second wind in a bottle. That's one way to rescue an old engine. Now here's how to stop a newer one from failing in the first place. On number 3, we've got Hot Shot Secret's Everyday Diesel Treatment, EDT if you're already on truck forums. This stuff exists for one big reason. Ultra-low sulfur diesel is dry, like metal on metal dry. That missing lubricity is why CP4 fuel pumps are ticking time bombs in some engines. And EDT steps in with its LX4 ester film to cut metal wear nearly in half. But it's not just about saving the pump. You get smoother cold starts thanks to a boost in cetane, fewer diesel particulate filter regions because of cleaner combustion, and better fuel mileage, up to 5% in real fleet tests. Some Cummins and Duramax owners say skipping EDT for one tank is all it takes for DPF gauges to start creeping. It's not magic, and it won't fix already damaged injectors. But for drivers who rely on diesel pickups, RVs, or farm gear, this is a habit that keeps engines quieter, cleaner, and a lot less thirsty. Add it every fill-up, and you've got a cheap insurance policy that doesn't just sit on a shelf. It works every mile. On number 2, we've got Redline Water Wetter, one of those cult status additives that's earned its place in track paddocks and turbo garages alike. What it actually does isn't magic, but it's clever. It helps water stick to hot metal better by breaking surface tension, which clears out those tiny vapor bubbles that block heat. No bubbles means more efficient cooling, especially at the parts of your engine that run the hottest. In the real world, that can mean 5 to 10 degrees cooler coolant in low glycol or water-only setups. And more importantly, lower metal temps where it counts, like at combustion chambers and turbo housings. That matters if you're towing, racing, or idling in desert traffic. It won't change your thermostat setting, but it will cool down your hotspots faster. Just don't treat it like antifreeze. Water wetter doesn't stop freezing, and overdosing it can actually trap air. Used right though, it's a smart, affordable habit that gives your cooling system an edge when conditions get punishing. On number 1, we have Seafoam Motor Treatment, a rare do-it-all additive that's been quietly fixing common engine headaches since the 1930s. It's one of the few products you can pour into the gas tank, crankcase, or straight through the intake, and it actually works in all 3. The secret's in its simplicity, a mix of pale oil, naphtha, and alcohol. That blend cuts through fuel varnish like paint thinner, frees up stuck piston rings, and even absorbs water and ethanol gas before it can separate and sink. It doesn't use harsh detergents or metal additives, so it's safe for oxygen sensors and catalytic converters. Older engines love it, especially ones that sit for the winter or struggle with cold starts. Add it to fuel before storage, and most small engines fire up like they've been running all season. And if your idle's rough, or your car's burning a bit of oil, a top-end soak can help unstick rings and smooth things out fast. Seafoam won't fix everything, but for $9, it often buys back performance you forgot you lost. A small bottle, a quiet fix, and one of the easiest engine habits to keep in your back pocket. We've covered the additives that earn their keep. Now let's talk about the ones that overpromise, underdeliver, and sometimes do real damage. At number 1, we've got the infamous plus 10-point octane booster bottles, the ones that promise race gas performance in a quick pour. Sounds powerful, right? Until you realize 10 points just means one single octane number. That jump from 91 to 92 does almost nothing for a modern ECU, and it definitely doesn't unlock hidden horsepower. Some of these brands are counting on you not knowing the math. The chemicals they use don't help much either. Most rely on MMT, a metal compound that leaves behind orange crust on your spark plugs and oxygen sensors, damage that can cost more than $1,000 to fix. Others use strong solvents like toluene or xylene, which barely nudge performance unless you pour in way more than the label suggests, and that assumes your fuel quality and engine mapping even allow it to help. Independent dyno runs show tiny power gains, often less than 2 horsepower, and nothing near the boost you'd get from actual race fuel or E85 blending. In most cars, these bottles are all hype and no timing advance. If your engine isn't knocking already, adding one won't fix or improve anything. It'll just leave you with lighter pockets and dirtier plugs. At number 2, we've got ZMAX Power System, the pink miracle fluid that claims to soak into your engine's metal, scrub away carbon, and boost everything from fuel economy to horsepower. Sounds good, right? Until you realize it's essentially tinted mineral oil with a slick marketing story. Independent lab tests and FTC filings found no actual additive chemistry in the mix, just base oil, some dye, and a lot of empty promises. The company says it's not an additive at all, just a micro-lubricant that slides alongside your engine oil and dives into the metal. But tribologists have pointed out for years that oil doesn't behave that way. And here's the kicker. Tests like the CRC L38 bearing corrosion study showed engines treated with ZMAX actually lost more metal than those running plain oil. The FTC even hit them with $1 million settlement for misleading claims back in 2003. In modern engines with delicate tolerances, adding ZMAX can thicken the oil, clog emission systems, and throw off fuel trim data. It won't ruin your motor outright, but it won't help either. What it really does is dilute the very oil your car's engineering team spent years perfecting. You're better off putting that money toward a high-quality synthetic and a proper maintenance schedule. Marketing hype is one thing, but the next additive takes a page from non-stick cookware and somehow made things stickier. At number 3, we've got Slick 50 and the rest of the Teflon-based oil treatments. These were massive in the 1990s, pitching the idea that a shot of polytetrafluoroethylene, which is a Teflon, would coat your engine in a friction-proof shield. But here's the real kicker. NASA, DuPont, and the FTC have all weighed in, and none of them found any benefit in engines. In fact, DuPont flat out said PTFE has no business inside an oil system. The chemistry makes that obvious. Teflon melts at over 600 degrees Fahrenheit, way beyond anything inside your crankcase. So it doesn't bond, it just floats around as powder. That powder can clog oil filters or settle in tight oil passages, especially in today's turbocharged engines with microscopic clearances. Even worse, those particles can block flow to lifters and phasers, risking major damage in modern low-viscosity systems. When Consumer Reports and NASA put these additives to the test, they found no drop in wear, no gain in fuel economy, and no measurable performance benefit. Just more sludge, more questions, and in some cases, more engine wear. If Teflon actually worked inside engines, you'd see automakers use it, but no OEM specs it. No major oil company includes it. That should tell you everything. It's one of those products that sounds genius until you actually understand how engines work. At number 4, let's talk about sodium silicate head gasket fix additives, the miracle in a bottle that claims to patch blown gaskets with a chemical magic trick. Sounds good, right? Until you realize the same ingredient was used in the Cash for Clunkers program to kill engines on purpose. That liquid glass isn't surgical. It hardens anywhere it gets hot, whether that's your leak or your radiator tubes, heater core, or water pump seals. Here's the real kicker. Most of these products rely on a decades-old lab test that doesn't reflect real engine conditions. The temperature's too low, the pressures are way off, and there's no accounting for modern materials like aluminum blocks or plastic end tanks. Sure, in a pinch, some sealers can slow a leak in an old beater, but in anything built after the 2000s, you're basically pouring sand into a high-pressure, micro-passage cooling system and hoping for the best. Independent tests show the cost clearly: higher coolant temps, clogged heater cores, worn-out pumps, and reduced flow across the board. The seal might hold for a week or a month, but the long-term damage is almost always worse. If you've got a $1,500 repair and you're gambling with a $40 bottle, you might be better off saving for the real fix, because once the glass settles, it doesn't come out. At number 5, we've got Motorcoat Hyper Lubricant, a bottle that promises to slash friction, boost power, and protect your engine for 4 oil changes straight. Sounds good, right? Until you realize it's not friction, it's fighting. It's your oil's chemistry. Motorcoat is loaded with chlorinated paraffins, a compound that forms slick films in the short term and hydrochloric acid in the long run. That acid eats into bearings, wrecks aluminum parts, and destroys the base oil additives your engine depends on. Lab tests have found over 27% chlorine content by weight. Add that to hot, humid blow-by gases, and you get corrosive damage from the inside out. One diesel engine went from fine to lobe-spalled in under 200,000 miles, and used oil analyses show a frightening drop in TBN, the additive reserve that keeps oil from turning acidic. No surprise that mechanics report glazed clutches, gummed filters, and premature cam wear after using it. If your oil already meets the latest specs, you don't need chlorine cocktails messing with it. Stick to tested formulas, not mystery slicks that cost more than a full synthetic and could cost you an engine. Additives are one thing, but what if a few illegal tweaks could make your engine run smoother, faster, better? Watch next. The mods they won't tell you improve performance like this.